Welcome to The Devil Made Me Do It, Part 3. If you believe that man is currently in a fallen state, then you undoubtedly understand that Satanism as a religion has perverted our society for thousands of years. Even the supposed Knights Templar have the stain on their history of worshipping at the cloven hooves of the Baphomet statue pictured on your screen. Satanism, witchcraft, bloodletting, blood drinking, child sacrifice, and ritualistic child abuse have went hand in hand all along. Is it all made up, or is it all too real? You will learn that even in the highest levels of the military and government, these practices are known of and accepted. Watch, take it into consideration, and make your own determination.
Forced underground by the religious hysteria of the Middle Ages, Satanism was resurrected, first by an Englishman named Aleister Crowley in the early 20th century. It entered its modern era in this country just about 25 years ago, under the theatrical guidance of Anton LaVey, California-based high priest of present-day devil worship. LaVey founded the Church of Satan. Now, despite its preachings of evil and hate, the church and its offshoots are constitutionally protected religions.
I believe that hate is necessary in a controlled way just as much as love is necessary.
LaVey penned the best-selling Satanic Bible. It's the handbook of devil worshippers everywhere. And for a time, he was considered chic enough to attract the attention of Hollywood. After working together on a film, LaVey made Sammy Davis Jr. an honorary member, while the late Jane Mansfield was for a time among LaVey's most passionate followers.
Most of the people that are in my group are professional people, they're business people, they're people that are from very responsible walks of life.
Contemporary Satanism relies heavily on bizarre and sometimes bloody ceremonies.
One of the ugliest, yet apparently most common rituals in devil worship is the sacrifice of animals, often involving the removal of organs and the draining of their blood in elaborate ceremonies. Well, a series of cattle mutilations on this Louisiana farm has sent a shiver of fear through this entire community. Show me the evidence that this was some kind of ritual.
Oh, this hole right here and the tail, they cut the tail off. The same thing with the ears.
They cut the ears off.
Right.
So you two have no doubt but that your animals were used in some kind of ritual.
Right.
Yes. All the blood was gone out of them, too. Every one of them, the blood was drained.
No blood, no insides, eyes pulled out, everything. I'm begging for something to be done. I'm scared.
In response to the animal mutilations and other mysterious and unsolved crimes in this area, the local fundamentalist church held an extraordinary service.
There's been a lot of questions about, are there any witchcraft, occultism, Satan worshipers in the area? And the answer is obviously yes. The only way to deal with Satan, which is spirit, is by way of spirit.
The preacher asked his flock to protect themselves with their faith, but some chose a more down-to-earth method.
Brother Blunt, I believe in the Lord, and I believe in you, but I'm still going to carry my gun because I'm scared.
In our investigation, we discovered that some of Satan's soldiers are also high-ranking officers in the United States military. Here at San Francisco's Presidio Army Base, for example, Lieutenant Colonel Michael Aquino led a double life as a satanic high priest. The colonel's cult is listed in the San Francisco telephone book, and his phone answering machine boasts of his affiliation.
This is the Temple of Set. The temple is the only international satanic religious institution fully recognized by the United States government.
Indeed, the Army does officially recognize Satanism as a legitimate religion and supplies chaplains with this guide for ministering to the satanic soldier. Yet unofficially, some charge that Army bases have become sanctuaries for devil worshippers. Just last month, under a full moon, I took a midnight tour of the Presidio grounds with police investigator Ed Abanofsky.
Are you saying that there was a satanic cult active right here on the Army base?
Yes, we believe so. There's evidence to substantiate that. They had satanic rituals going on. There's an altar in there, and all of the graffiti on the wall would indicate that.
Let's see if I can see it. How'd you find this place?
This is a fortification during World War II. during World War II where they had gun batteries.
I can see a pentagram painted on the wall. I can see the words Prince of Darkness. On this wall, I see several inverted crosses and other obvious satanic ritualistic paintings or symbols. Joseph, we've agreed to conceal your identity, but you are an officer in the United States Army.
That's correct.
And you were an officer in the United States Army during the time you were a member of this satanic organization.
Yes.
Did the authorities at the Presidio know that a satanic organization was active on their base during the time that you were a member?
They were very much aware of it, yes.
The present base commander, Colonel Rafferty, says that today, at least,
I know of no satanic activities whatsoever in this area.
Satanism may be a constitutionally protected religion, but similar to another recent case at the United States Military Academy at West Point, here charges surface connecting ritual child abuse at the Presidio Daycare Center to the devil cult. It was here, parents and others allege, that as many as 60 young children were ritualistically abused by soldiers of Satan. What actually was done to the kids?
Oral copulation, sodomy, defecation, they were urinated on.
The former chief juvenile investigator at the Presidio, Ed Abanofsky, is here. He's now a deputy sheriff in Santa Clara County. Colonel Aquino, we note, sir, for the record, that you were originally implicated in the dreadful charges of child abuse. We note also that no charges were ever brought against you, and presumably you have been cleared. Would you like to comment on why those charges were brought against you?
Well, the entire time that the so-called child molestation scandal was occurring at the Presidio, the time period when these terrible events were supposedly taking place, I was assigned to the National Defense University in Washington, D.C., and my wife was out there living with me.
But is it not a fact that a 3.5-year-old girl identified you as the alleged perpetrator of molestation?
No, as a matter of fact, it is not the case. An accusation was made by her stepfather, who was an Army chaplain, speaking on behalf of this child. In her original interview with the FBI, she denied ever being molested.
Well, I've seen you are innocent until proven guilty. You were never charged in this case. I don't want to belabor the point. I have seen, however, the affidavits for the search warrant of your home, and they indicate the child is speaking to the authorities, not her father.
This was after she had been subjected to therapy.
Let's say you are innocent of that. You are no longer at the Presidio. You are now in St. Louis, but you are still a serving officer or colonel in the United States Army. Do you feel it is inconsistent with a high-ranking officer pledged, sworn, to uphold the Constitution of the United States that you are also a practicing Satanist?
Not in the least. The Army has known of my religion for the last 20 years. There has never been a problem with it, any more than there's a problem with other members of minority religions.
But let me read from the Satanic Bible. Quote, this is the number one, commandment. Death to the weakling, wealth to the strong. How can you believe this and still uphold the Constitution of the United States? Death to the weakling?
Well, for one thing, what you're looking at there is a highly polemical book that was never meant to be taken literally in all of its commandments. Written by Zena's father. Yes, and I'm aware of that, and I'm also saying that members of the Church of Satan understood that much of this book was in the form of a polemic. It was a statement that was dramatically made, but was not intended to be taken literally in all its respects.
So we should not take this book literally?
Correct.
This is Dr. Walter Grote, would you stand, sir? Whose daughter was allegedly abused at West Point, the United States Military Academy. You were a captain in the United States Army. Aside from what allegedly happened to your daughter, which I know you allege was part of a satanic cult, and having nothing to do with this man, I state again for the record, what is your feeling, sir, on the fact that a serving officer in the United States Army is also a professed Satanist, a high-ranking person?
Well, I think in this election year, we've heard a lot about values, Geraldo. We've heard a lot that our little children should be saying the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Mr. Aquino has identified himself as an antichrist. He preaches that as the leader of the Temple Set. I don't think I'm misquoting him. I find it inconceivable that we can have candidates talking about one nation under God and having our children say that, yet by the same token, we can have somebody in our Army as a colonel leading our troops in battle who are opposed to the very concept of God and whose whole purpose it is to fight against God.
We have to take a break right here. Next, more on the connection between Satanism and violence, including more charges of the sexual abuse of children. If you have let your kids watch up until now, we urge you, ladies and gentlemen, we are not kidding. Get them away from the TV during our next report. We'll be right back.
So I want you to pay particular attention to what Anton LaVey said about the people involved in Satanism. He said professional people. What does that mean exactly? Judges, lawyers, doctors, police, government officials? That means it could be anyone. Anybody could be involved. You heard about Sammy Davis Jr., Jane Mansfield, and Colonel Aquino. So you have the entertainment industry along with the military-industrial complex involved. And you wonder why it's hidden and you almost never hear about it. Nobody speaks about it. You wonder why when the Balenciaga scandal broke, the media and the entertainment industry were afraid to touch it. The answers are right in front of you. If you have not seen it before, you are seeing it now. Subscribe to the channel, like the content, share the video with everyone you know. And as always, be cautious out there. There is more to come.